All right, guys, this is Aaron with Project Create, and in today's video, what I'm gonna do is show you how to edit a photo in Photoshop.
One of the first things you want to do is make sure that your photo is in focus. Okay, so I'm going to open this image up in Photoshop and get to it. So one of the first things I like to do is create like a backup before I even edit anything. Like, I'm going to Command J. It's going to make a copy of it. I'm going to title this original, and then I'm gonna click the eye so it's not visible anymore. I'm gonna start editing the copy of it. So first thing I like to do is use the clone tool. So the clone tool is right here, clone stamp. The way it works is you're going to be cloning one area to another, and this helps you remove blemishes. It helps you to even out skin, and just like overall make this is the first round of edits. Okay, so you see like a little like white thing right there, or maybe there's a mole, or maybe it's a piece of lint. What I'm gonna do is, if you press Option, this happens, right? And this is going to basically be the source area you will be cloning from. So what I like to do is, if I'm going to clone one area, because of lighting, the lighting is very specific, right? So you can't clone from this shiny area right here to a darker area right here. What you want to do is clone what you think is a nice untouched area to the nearby blemished area. So like right here, this area looks nice. See how it's nice? And then I'm gonna go right over this dark area and I'm gonna start cloning. Boom, gone. I'm just gonna do this a lot. So basically, anywhere I see a blemish, I'm gonna go right next to it, like left, right, up, down, right around that blemish, and find some good skin or good part of the image to use to clone over it. Alright. It's like a little white mark right there. Let's try and get that. And I didn't say this in the beginning, but I like to stick with an opacity. It's around like 50, 60. Right now I'm at 60, and I'm doing this quick, so you can pay as much or as little attention to detail as you want, and it'll make it faster or slower for you. Right now I'm kind of going for speed and technique, so this little mark right there. Kind of arbitrarily choosing spots to edit. Just want to make his skin look a little bit more smoother and appealing. And the emphasis isn't to get his skin perfect right here. It's not necessarily what we're going for. What we're going for is an overall, like, okay, yeah, so like there's less blemishes here, looks a little clearer. All the real obvious things is what we're going for. And he's got a little bit of like a scarring, maybe. Let's get rid of that stuff, because then after this we're going to airbrush it, and that's really going to make it come together. You see how it gets darker in some of these places because of the lighting, right? And that's why you gotta constantly be pressing Option to reset your source from which you're cloning, so you can stay consistent. this side. And the other reason why I keep the original copy is because, you know, sometimes it's cool to go back and forth and see what I've been doing, see all that stuff. Did it really quickly too. All right. Let's keep going. It was a hair or something. You know what I'm saying? Alright. It's looking nice. You know, even that right there is, you know, that is a bunch of small things. Boom. Now they're done. And we're gonna keep going. Just a little bit more. Even out the skin as much as we can. And it kind of has like a, maybe the remnants of a scar right there. Now it's like gone basically. So we get over here. Okay, so let's say we're good with that. I feel like that's a good amount of cloning. So we've done the cloning. Now what I want to do is airbrushing. So I'm going to Command J, that makes a copy, and I'm going to go to filters. We're going to go to blur, surface blur. Now, as you can see, surface blurs everything, right? You'd wonder why I've been doing that, but what's good about it is it creates a nice gradient. All the skin tones and all that, now they've turned into these gradient colors, right? And with my settings, this is just my settings: radius and threshold, 45, 113. You can change these things. It's really a preference thing. I'm gonna press OK. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make it a layer mask. Hide all. Okay, now you can't even see it. Now when you make a layer mask white, you're gonna use brushes, right? And you're just gonna use the colors white and black. White, if you hide all and the screen right here, this little rectangle right here looks black, that means that when you use a white brush, it will reveal what you've hidden. And if you use a black brush, it will remove it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give myself a little bigger of a size brush, and my opacity is much lower now. Okay, it's at 20%. I can give myself a brush around 100. So yeah, that's cool. And what I'm gonna do is start airbrushing. It's gonna be really subtle at first. You can kind of generally get this whole area. It's gonna be like really subtle at first. You're gonna see. And what I like to do is kind of imitate the way our faces mold. So, you know, I'm gonna go around like that with the eyebrows, you know, up and around like that. Like if around his hairline, I'm gonna follow the hairline, you know, and then under the eyes. Right now it's not immediately visible exactly what I'm doing, but you'll see. It's because I'm using a low opacity. And the reason I like to do it low is because you have much more control. You know, you can really see it coming in. You can really see it going under the eyes now. His cheeks a little. You know, this is just my technique. I learned this a long time ago, you know, Googling and YouTubing. And there's many different ways to go about it. This is just a way that I know that I can teach. If you have a different way, that's totally cool. Doesn't matter. As long as you get the results that you feel are great and that makes your clients or your friends or whoever you're doing, you know, editing for happy. That's the most important thing. One thing I like to point out is that you really want to avoid the most detailed areas. You know, like you don't want to hit the eyebrows or the actual hair or his mustache or the inside of his eyes. And right now I'm just hitting like the big areas. We're gonna like change the brush size at times. I'm gonna get in between. So like really subtly I've been getting it in. I'm gonna group these. So this is gonna be, I'm gonna rename this real quick. This is gonna be clone. This is gonna be blur. Let's select these two, Command G. Now this is a group. We call this the edit. All the edit stuff we're gonna throw in there, right? And this is gonna be really cool. When I click back and forth from the original to the edit, now you're really gonna see the difference. Look at that. All right. And this is just the second round of editing. Okay. So I'm airbrushing, and as you can see, I cloned out a lot of the blemishes to begin with, and then the airbrushing is smoothing the color of the skin and making it all, you know, come together in a more appealing way. Now, one thing I don't particularly like about airbrushing is that it seems to like reduce a lot of the sharpness, right? But we're gonna add some skin texture after this, and I'll show you how to do that. Right now, we're gonna continue a little bit more of this. Okay, I'm gonna change the brush size a little bit so I can get into like smaller areas. See this little part right here. Maybe I can clone that a little bit better. Let's go back to the clone. See that? Something going on with that outer area. Cool. Now it's gone. Let's get back to here. Smoothing it up. I'm smoothing it up. Smoothing it up. Okay. It's looking good. Next, I'm going to whiten his eyes. This is super simple. Just gonna use a white brush. Also at a low opacity. I'm gonna use a really small brush, obviously. His eyes are not, it's not a lot of space. So we're gonna make sure we can fit in there. There we go. At 20 opacity. This part isn't like scientific, you know, you just kind of hitting the brush in there, getting it visibly whiter, you know. And everybody has like my eyes are like always kind of discolored. You know, eyes are like teeth a little bit, you know. We to the naked eye, when, you know, people with perfect teeth, they look white to us, but you know, when you take that photo, you notice everything's a little, a little dirty. I'm gonna clean that up. Okay. And that's a little much, right? We're overdoing it a little bit, and we're doing it on purpose. And the reason is at the end, what I like to do is reduce the opacity of all the layers of the edits, and we start blending them a little bit more. But once that, we're going to do that at the end. And now we're going to overdo it all a little bit. And we're going to go back. Right. The eyes are super white and they look a little much. Okay, so if you want, we can reduce that right now. It's gonna hold shift, press down, it'll take the percentage down by 10. So this is at 40, 50, 60. I feel like somewhere in the 60s is pleasant. I would say in general, when you're doing heavy editing, once I do the blending part where I'm just taking the layer opacity down, you know, you definitely want to be above 50%, you know. That way people can noticeably see the editing you've done. You just don't want it to be too high, like close to 100%, because then it's going to be too processed looking. So I'm going to take it down a little bit. I'd say, for me, somewhere in the 80s is nice. So the eye layer is at 60, the airbrush layer is at 84. Okay. Cool, I like that. Next. Alright, so the last part, a lot of people talk about when you airbrush, you lose a lot of texture. The skin, it starts looking plastic and unreal. So we're gonna add texture back. So for me, I use frequency separation. This is a plugin, costs like 10 or 20 bucks. It's so cheap, anybody can get it. So what this just did is it created another layer mask for me. It added a high pass filter, which makes noise, kind of like this grain that you see over here in the back. This is natural grain or natural noise. And what this plugin just did for me, fast. I mean, we could do this ourselves, and you know, in the manual way, but I just did the automatic plugin shortcut way. And I'm gonna change my brush size. Let's make it larger, 100 something. And over here, my opacity is 20. I'm just gonna add some texture back. All the areas that I hit hard with the airbrush, I'm gonna go back. for like the nose had softened up a little much. Area around the eyes, usually the under eyes is and the forehead are places that they get way too soft when you airbrush them. I'm actually gonna take my opacity up a little bit, back to 90s. See, like I just want to take that off so you can see what it's doing to these areas. There we go. Now we're gonna add some simple stuff, like I usually like to add like vibrance, contrast, you know, maybe a curve. So right now, since this is a raw photo, you're able to edit those things even before you jump into Photoshop, and I did that. So like color is pretty jumping, you know, and I really like that. So how about we just add a curve to it? Let's get a little bit, tiny bit in there. So this area is a little dark. That's affecting the image. Here we go. Original. Edit. Original. Edit. Save it. I like to make everything all nice and organized. Put in the edits folder. So I know these are the 3 edits I've worked on. And there you go. Now if I'm ready to pop this out as a compressed image file, which would be like a JPEG or a PNG or something like that, I like to hit shortcuts. So it's a Shift Option Command S. 4 of those keys. I know it's a lot of keys. All right. And it's gonna help me make an image. Give me that maximum. You know, let's go all the way maximum. I'm gonna call this Aaron 3. This is the 3rd Aaron picture I was editing. And there we go, we're done. We can go into Finder. I'm just gonna go look at it real quick, make sure in there. Boom. That is Aaron edited by Aaron. Of course, you know, I can do more. You know, there's like little razor stubble at the bottom of his chin, and you know, I didn't hit his neck. Also, I only focused on his face. You know, I didn't touch his hands up. But I would do all that using the same exact process. There you go. That's it. Awesome.